Hi VC, hi YouTube, it's Rob here with another video, and this video is another car boot adventure. So stuff I've picked up at the car boot sales over the last couple of weeks, and in the UK, maybe this weekend was the last weekend of car boots. COVID-19 is on the increase in the UK, so maybe car boot sales maybe a thing of the past for couple of months, but I picked up some good stuff over the last couple of weeks. So these are all records that cost me £1 or under. So I've got all these records to show, a few CDs and DVDs at the end of the video. So if you're not in the UK, I've had a few people say, you know, what is a car boot sale? Well, usually in a field in the middle of nowhere, you can get 500 cars there, and what people do is they have a look through the garages, through the lofts, things they want to get rid of, and get there very early in the morning. Sometimes people get there at 4:30. If the weather's good, there'll be a good turnout. I usually get there about 8 o'clock. So let's show the records. And the first record I'm going to show, like I say, most of these were £1 or under, is this one, Sheet Music by 10cc, and I've also got the lyrics with it. So this is a record that came out in 1973, and for 1973 I think they were sort of pushing the boundaries a little bit, because this is very different to sort of music that was around in 73. The Wall Street Shuffle was a big hit, and Silly Love was also a single. And I've heard quite a few people in the VC talking about this album and raving about it, and I'd not actually heard it before. I'm pretty familiar with all the singles by 10cc. I mean, they are a Manchester band, so close to my heart. This was recorded at Strawberry Studios in Stockport, and Paul McCartney's drum kit was used on this album. So what do I think of the album? When I first played it, it's very eclectic, and it takes, like most albums, most good albums aren't instant straight away. But the more I play this album, I realise what all the fuss is about, and you know, it might be an 8 out of 10. So pleased to find this, Sheet Music by 10cc. Now, the next album I'm going to show is this one, The Rise and Fall by Madness. So this came out in 1982, and I'm a fan of Madness. If you're in the UK, Madness were sort of predominantly a singles band. Nearly every single they released in the sort of up to about 84 were top 10 hits. But their albums tend to get sort of neglected a little bit, and you can usually pick their albums up relatively cheap in record shops, and this is an album that I bought at the time but has been lost in transit over the years. This album is, you know, Madness are such a British sounding band. Sort of, I've read that, you know, The Village Green by the Kinks, this album, and then 12 years later Part Life, really sort of British albums that sort of they translate to other parts of the world. I mean, I think Madness, Our House is on this album, and that was a top 10 hit in America. Tomorrow's Just Another Day was another top 10 hit. But this is a good album, and Madness's albums, like I say, they do tend to be sort of overlooked. But yeah, if you see this album knocking around, I really recommend it. So yeah, The Rise and Fall by Madness. Now, next album is an album that Richie McCook showed on his last video, and it's Waiting by the Fun Boy 3. So I was going out with a girl in 83 when this album came out, and she had this album. She was a big fan of Terry Hall. And I'm really familiar with this album. It's got singles on it, Tunnel of Love, More You See, Less I Believe, and Our Lips Are Sealed, but Find Me Our Connection, We're Having All the Fun, The Things We Do, great songs, and front to back it's probably an 8 out of 10. So probably one of the best albums from 1983, Waiting by the Fun Boy 3. Now, here's an album from '76 that I used to have, and I lent it someone and I never got it back, and it's Silk Degrees by Boss Skaggs. So when I was like 12, just before punk and new wave, American music was pretty big in the UK. ABBA, of course, were really big in the mid-70s, but bands like the Eagles and Andrew Gold and Boss Skaggs, you know, they had quite a lot of single success. And there's 3 big hits on this album. What Can I Say, Lowdown, which was a big hit in America, and the Lido Shuffle are on this album. And for £1, you know, I've been on the lookout for a copy of it. And George is on this. It's a really good track. It's a pretty strong album, and yeah, 1976, one of the best albums, Silk Degrees by Boss Skaggs. Now, I found this. I was quite happy to find this. I mean, at car boot sales you really never know what you're going to find, and I found this one, Right On by the Supremes. So this is the album that came out when Diana Ross left the Supremes, and to find this for £1, I was really pleased. One thing you have to do when you buy records from car boot sales is give them a good clean, because they've been lying around in someone's garage or up in someone's loft in most cases for 20-30 years, maybe even longer. So sometimes I do put the record on without a clean, and they do tend to jump around a little bit, but a really good clean on this one and it plays like a dream. So Up the Ladder to the Roof is on this, and Everybody's Got the Right to Love. I played this, really nice listen, and it actually outsold Diana Ross's debut album. So yeah, pleased to find that. Right On by the Supremes. I found this album, Conscious by Womack and Womack. So this is from 1988, and the track Teardrops was a massive hit for Womack and Womack. Celebrate the World, great song as well. Life's Just a Ball Game was a single. This was a bit of a comeback for Bobby Womack. I mean, in the early 70s I've got a Bobby Womack album, and it's really good, and it's not easy to find Bobby Womack albums. And this was a bit of a comeback in '88, and it was a pretty big seller, I think. And like I say, Teardrops should have been a #1. I think it was definitely top 5 hit. So yeah, Womack and Womack. Now, I picked up 2 albums by Stevie Winwood. So I've been on the lookout for this album for quite some time. In 1980, when While You See a Chance came out, I really love that song. It was a top 10 hit in America. Spanish Dancer as well. It was a big hit. And Stevie Winwood, you know, he had you know, a lot of success in the 60s and the early 70s, but he kind of disappeared for a while. And in the 80s, maybe his albums did suffer from that sort of 80s sound, but I think this sounds great, and it's a top album. So yeah, Arc of a Diver by Stevie Winwood. And I also found Back in the High Life, which again is from about 85, I think. Higher Love was a big hit, and Back in the High Life was a single. And yeah, Stevie Winwood, what's he done over the last 30 years? I'm not too sure what he's up to, but in the 80s he released quite a few good albums. So yeah, Back in the High Life by Stevie Winwood. Now, at the car boot sale, there was a girl who was in her early 20s, and she was sort of looked half asleep. She'd probably been at the car boot sale since 5 o'clock in the morning, and she had a stack of records, but they were all country records, and that's one sort of music that I'm not into. So, but I had a look through, because you never know what there might be, and they were all 50 pence. And I found this, Ray Charles, Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music. And this is on his master's voice. It must be kind of a reissue. I love that sleeve as well, really good condition. And I picked up a Ray Charles album, like a bit of a best of. Showed it a couple of months ago. I did say if I see any Ray Charles I'll pick them up, and I've discovered I'm maybe a bit of a fan of Ray Charles, so really pleased to find this for 50p, Ray Charles. Now I've discovered a bit of a love for this guy, Frank Sinatra, Look Over Your Shoulder, and this is a compilation from 1961, and this needed a good clean, but plays like a dream. So if you're in love, you cannot beat Frank Sinatra. I mean, some of the songs on here, Love Till I Die, My Lean Baby, Not a Stranger. I played this front to back and I just really enjoyed it. So maybe I'm going a bit cuckoo, but yeah, really strong Frank Sinatra album. There was a couple and they had a box of records and they were all kind of pre-1960 albums in there, and really I should have picked up some more stuff from them. Looking back, when you go to car boot sales and you drive away, sometimes you're full of regret. And yeah, they have plenty of sort of maybe Ella Fitzgerald and stuff like that I should have maybe picked up. But yeah, and I love that sleeve. So Frank Sinatra, Look Over Your Shoulder. And the love continues with another Frank Sinatra album, Sings Music for Pleasure. I think this one's from 59, and again, after a good clean, this is really nice. Same sort of thing, compilation. I'm really pleased to find this. So another Frank album. Now this album, you know, I picked this up, not sure why, but we'll talk about it. So it's the Thompson Twins second album, called Set. If you notice on there, 7 members. So this is very early Thompson Twins. Of course, they ended up 3 members. And this has got In the Name of Love on it, which was a #1 sort of in the American dance charts in '82. And I think America sort of discovered that they quite liked the Thompson Twins. But when I played this, I absolutely hated it. And then I played it again and I kind of detested it. And then on the third listen, I kind of didn't quite hate it as much. And what I've been doing, because of my job, I'm sort of a test engineer, I can sort of sometimes play music. So I was actually streaming this album just to see what I'll, you know, just to maybe try and get into it, to sort of maybe keep people away from me, and it sort of succeeded. There's a track called Blind on here, the closing track, that I quite like, and a track called The Row that I quite liked. But yeah, I mean, Thomas Dolby's on this album, and it was produced by Steve Lillywhite. But yeah, certainly not one of my favourite albums, but you know, if I keep playing it, who knows. So yeah, Set by the Thompson Twins. Now I picked this up, and picked it up for the cover. So Clint Eastwood there, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, a fistful of dollars and a few dollars more. So I'm on the lookout for Ennio Morricone albums, not easy to find. But this is the Hollywood Soundmakers. So this is kind of like a Poundland version of Ennio Morricone. And I played this while I was watching the football, and I didn't take it off. I listened to it, I quite enjoyed it. But I like the sleeve a lot better. So yeah, the Hollywood Soundmakers there, and a bit of a rip-off. Now, final album for £1 was this one, Cameo, and Word Up. So remember those stickers he used to put on the albums. So this was £1, and you know, I've never really, I picked up a Cameo album from the 70s, and it was so good. But this is the Cameo I remember, with Word Up and Back and Forth. You know, it's a bit of fun. It's not really my sort of thing, but at the car boot sale sometimes you just pick stuff up maybe for the wrong reasons. So I'm not sure this is a keeper, but yeah, Word Up by Cameo. Now, 3 albums for 50p. I picked this up, The Sting. I'm after more soundtracks, the Paul Newman, Robert Redford and Robert Shaw film. I've never seen this film, so I'm not even sure what sort of music it is. But because I'm on the lookout for, it's on MCA, because I'm on the lookout for more sort of soundtracks, and I picked this up yesterday, so I've not actually listened to it, but yeah, picked that one up. Now, I picked this up, and I don't really have any classical music in my collection, and at car boot sales you do see classical music, and the cover of this got my attention. Stravinsky, The Riot of Spring. So as you can see there, Adam and Eve seem to be getting up to something, and the animals are certainly watching on. So I played this when I got home from the car boot Sunday morning, gave it a good clean, and it plays really well, and I really enjoyed it. Very relaxing music. So yeah, Stravinsky, The Rite of Spring. And then this one, Hulse, The Planets, the BBC Symphony Orchestra. So this is an album that I remember my parents having, not this actual copy, but Hulse, The Planets. When I was 12, 13, I didn't have many records. My parents did have, you know, the Carpenters and Neil Sedaka, stuff like that. But they did have this album, and I used to play it and really like it. So I've been kind of on the lookout for it. I knew I'd find it cheap. So yeah, Hulse, The Planets. So that's the vinyl. Got a few CDs to show here. So I picked up a couple of Radiohead CDs for 50p each. I think I've got these, but I can't find them. I can't find the disc to Kid A. So 50p. I thought I'd pick that up. And also a cooler shaker for 10p. Quite a big band in, I can't remember when it was now, maybe 94. The sort of music I'm listening to at the moment is quite ambient music, so pick this up. Apex Twin. So 50p. So Apex Twin have kind of recorded a lot of music, and I can't really keep track of it, but when I saw this I had to grab it and play it and really enjoyed it. And then I picked this up. This is this is godsend. So this is a selection of Ambient Works Volume 2, and it's a double disc, and I played this and I absolutely love it, so I couldn't believe my luck when I found that. And then someone was sort of giving this away, so Rapper's Delight, and this is a triple disc, and this only came out a couple of years ago. It's got Run DMC on it, and Sugar Hill Gang and House of Pain, you know, the usual suspects. So for £1, thought I'd grab that. And a couple of films. I know there's a few people on the VC like films, so this was 50p. To Kill a Mockingbird, still sealed up, the Gregory Peck classic. So, and also for 10p, The Man Who Knew Too Much, the Alfred Hitchcock film. Do like Alfred Hitchcock. So those are my finds from the car boot adventure. Mostly vinyl. I picked up some other stuff that were over £1, but I'll show that on a later date. I just wanted to show all the pound records and put them all in one video. If you're a new subscriber to my channel, thanks for subscribing. If you're an old subscriber, thanks for hanging in there. If you want to make a comment on what I found at the car boot sale, I'd love to hear from you. Best thing about the VC is the interaction. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching this video, and bye for now.